Okay, cut the clip and start. Start again. Okay.
God fucking damn it. Welcome to Two Neurons in One Mic.
4 hours later, episode 2 is finally up and running.
The amount of research we had to put into this just tonight.
The amount of research, the amount of character development.
Yes.
This is not for the weak. This is a lot of work, actually.
This is more work than I thought.
This is not a side hustle. This is a full-time job.
Yeah. it will pay off, though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Especially now that we're learning, it gets easier each time.
Exactly.
It's just each time we learn, there's so much we don't know that we must figure out.
So many hurdles that take about an hour or two each to get through.
And it just makes the quality get better, hopefully.
Yes.
If not, you'll see us again in 2 days recording the same episode.
We're trying to record these mics on 2 different tracks, so fingers crossed that it's working.
And then we have the video separate if you're watching this on YouTube. But I have a Mac and she has a PC. And then it's just how to convert everything together and get it together.
It's a mess.
We're figuring it out. Thanks for tuning in because we're really putting a lot of work into this. Yes. Welcome to Two Neurons, One Mic.
Welcome.
And we're here to masturbate and tackle your attention. We're here with the content today.
Uh-huh. We're going to tell some good stories.
Story time.
Off the hook.
Buckle your seatbelts and open your ears.
Who wants to go first?
I think you should start.
Should I start?
I think you should. You're really going to get an inside scoop to our lives. And just, we're like talking to the girlies today. You guys are like a new friend that we're meeting. And we're just like talking shit and talking about life. Welcome to our life. Thanks for being our friend.
I think first I'll talk about smoking weed. And I feel like that might segue us into my other stories.
This is definitely a good place to start.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
So I smoked weed one time in high school and I tried so hard to get high and I didn't get high. Frustrating, but it's fine. And then I knew I didn't like it because it made my throat hurt real bad. So come college, I don't want to smoke weed, which is fine. I don't mind people smoking weed around me. However, unfortunately, I had a boyfriend at the time. We're going to call him Hurricane Boy.
Hurricane Boy.
And he liked to smoke weed, which is fine. And I told him
He
straight
liked
up.
to do a lot of things.
He liked to do a lot of
Let's preface it
things.
with that. Smoking weed was one of them.
And I told him, like, I don't mind if you smoke weed, whatever. Like, we're in college, I don't care. But just don't get me to smoke weed. Like, don't try to get me to smoke weed because I don't want to. He's like, oh, yeah, that's fine, whatever. And I think maybe I mentioned one time, I said, maybe I would do an edible, but I don't like smoking. So the time comes and he wants me to take an edible, and I don't want to. I just don't want to do it. I'm not feeling it. But of course,
He was not good at understanding a boundary or understanding no.
and I was not good at setting a boundary. So this was just a
Double whammy.
not a good combo. So anyway, he had a friend who was making edibles, little brownies, big brownies actually, and he bought 2. He gives me one of them, and I look at him, and I'm like, should I eat the whole thing? And of course, him being the person he is, he goes, stop being a fucking wuss. Why are you acting like that? Eat the whole fucking thing, like this and that. He's like absolutely berating me for asking that question.
Has never been high in her life, but she better raw dog the whole edible.
Right. And I tell him that. I'm like, I don't smoke weed. Like, I don't have a tolerance.
It's not like it's a Sour Patch Kid either. Like, it is a whole brownie.
A big brownie, too. It was huge. And so I'm like, I don't have a tolerance to it. And he's like, it doesn't matter. Like, that's not how it works. He's gaslighting the shit out of me. And
Damn it, Melissa.
right? Me being the person I was back in the day, I was like, I guess he must be right. But also, I didn't want to argue. Because if I argued,
10 times worse.
oh, God, I don't even want to think about that. So anyway, I eat the whole edible. And he eats his. And then he offers me his crumbs.
Lick the bag, please. You need it for the experience.
And I'm like, no, it's okay. Which that was walking on
How dare
eggshells.
You? How dare you not eat his crumbs?
Right. I was scared that was going to start a fight.
That
but
could be the hurricane coming at her full force.
yeah. And so anyway, we get back to my place and it starts hitting me and I'm enjoying it. I'm having a good time.
You weren't at the apartment when you did that?
No. I was literally in the parking lot of the friend he got the edible from.
God damn. I mean, it takes a little bit to kick in, so I get it, but still, for your first time, you'd think he would make sure you were like in the comfort of your own home.
No, in the comfort of his Hyundai.
Add to the red flags list.
And so it hits me and I'm having a good time. I like it. But then, the anxiety comes and I'm just trying to coach myself through it. I'm like, I'm fine. Why wouldn't I be fine? I'm literally in my bed.
Gaslight yourself through it.
Exactly. So I'm still trying to enjoy it. And I just ask him for some confirmation. I'm like, I'm okay, right? He's like, yeah, you're okay. He's like, he's annoyed with me at this point. He says, just close your eyes and go to bed.
How is that enjoying it?
Right after I eat the whole edible.
If you're just going to go to bed, what was the point in eating the whole thing?
I don't know.
Contradicting himself.
Yeah, for real. He never made any sense. So I'm like laying back, closing my eyes, and then all of a sudden he grabs me and he goes, Melissa, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, what's going on? What's going on? Wait, am I okay? Am I okay? I'm like, I'm about to start crying. And then he starts laughing. He starts laughing. That was all a joke.
I would be pissed.
I was so mad, but also I was so high.
As you're already paranoid too.
Yeah, exactly. So that was terrible in itself.
I mean, at least it got the job done this time. You were high.
That is true. I was high.
Just not enjoying it.
Yeah, and then I got a little too high. So I start getting really nauseous. I don't know if anyone else has felt like this, but I felt like I was like on a boat or something. Like just like moving. And I got so nauseous and I'm laying there, eyes closed, and I'm thinking like, just don't throw up, just breathe. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I can't do it. I'm going to throw up. So I jump out of bed. It's going to sound like so wussy of me, but like I couldn't walk. I ran straight into the wall. Like I fell into the wall. I army crawled to the bathroom. I'm throwing up in my hands, like throwing up in the toilet, crying.
And he's knocked out in the bed.
Yeah, literally crying for him and nothing. I throw up for God knows how long. And then I go back to bed and wake him up. And he goes, let me see your eyes. So I look at him and he laughs. And he's like, you're so high right now. And I was like, yeah, I'm fucking aware. No fucking shit. So, yeah, that was my experience with weed. And then the experience that we had on the balcony.
Yeah.
I think I did cry that time.
You did. There was this one time, me and Melissa lived together in college, and we had a balcony. And I remember one day I came home from wherever the fuck I was, and they're out on the balcony, and they're like, oh, do you want to come hang out? I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And he's smoking a blunt. He wants Melissa to do it. And Melissa had already had this bad experience. And I just remember thinking, like, what the actual fuck? And I'm not smoking anything I didn't roll. I don't trust this kid. This kid was wild. He was on a lot of shit. Which, like, good time in moderation, but, like, he was addicted.
It was
so bad. He was like, oh, do you want to smoke? Do you want to smoke? I'm like, no, I know I don't. And he's just, like, fucking pressuring Melissa into fucking hitting this blunt. And she's, like, literally crying. She, like, hits it, and it burns her throat. You were just, like, crying. And I just remember being like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid?
Hated it.
I felt so bad for you. I was like, there's no way in fucking hell he's actually peer pressuring her into doing this, and she's crying it. And he's like, puff, puff. Puff, puff. Like,
my throat hurts. I don't like this. I don't want to be here.
Yeah. I think what we should segue into is the frog story and what lack of balls he had that night. There's the reason that I am terrified of frogs today. So we live in South Florida. There's crazy shit, crazy animals. You never know what the fuck you're going to find. And, you know, we're in college. We don't really sleep, whatever. So one night I remember waking up at like 4 a.m. and I'm like, I'm going to do a face mask. What else am I going to do? It's 4 a.m. My friends are asleep. Everyone's, you know, drunk, what the fuck ever. I had class, I think at like 7 a.m. I was like, I'm just gonna ride this out. I'm gonna get up.
Self-care.
So I go in my bathroom and I'm putting on a face mask, and I remember there being something blue like out the corner of my eye, and I look at my wall and there's a bright blue, like deep blue fucking frog in my bathroom. And I'm like, where the fuck did this come from? I hate frogs. This is not mine. Like, it had to have crawled up the drain of like either the shower or the toilet. It's in my fucking bathroom. And I'm like, okay, don't panic. It's 4 a.m. Someone will be up soon. So I didn't know frogs could walk because apparently I'm a fucking idiot. And I genuinely thought they could only hop as a means of maneuvering. So I'm like, it's not a big deal. I'm going to close my bathroom door and I'm going to call 911. That is literally what comes into my mind.
911 or I burned down the house
I burned
or
down
both.
the apartment and I don't have renter's insurance, so better not do that. So I close the door of the bathroom and I'm FaceTiming one of my best friends, ride or die, love her. I FaceTime her. I wake her ass up. It is literally, I think, like 4:47 in the morning. I'm FaceTiming her. I'm like, bitch, you need to get the fuck over here right now. There's a frog in my bathroom and I'm panicking. And, you know, we live in student housing in college, and there was just some shit going on in the area. 2 days prior to this girl, there was an attempted kidnapping in the parking lot of our apartment complex. So everyone's on like high fucking alert. They're scared to be outside at night, especially alone. And this frog is in my bathroom. I'm calling my friend. I'm like, get your fucking ass over here. You need to get this frog out. And she's like, Abby, I'm not fucking getting kidnapped. I'll be on FaceTime with you, but I'm not. And I'm like, should I call 911? And she's like, fuck, stop being a pussy. Just get the fucking frog out. And I'm like, okay, I needed to hear that. And I didn't want to do it by myself. So I'm in the kitchen. And I remember just yelling, there's a predator in the house. Trying to scare everybody to wake them up. And I could have just knocked on anybody's door, but I was like, I'm fucking scared and everybody else needs to be scared with me. It's either this or I call 911. So I'm literally screaming about there being a predator, and my one roommate comes out. And she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, no, I'm not fucking okay. There's a fucking frog. So then Melissa and the other one wake up, and we're all in the living room, and I'm like, there's a fucking frog in my bathroom. I Googled it. He's blue. He's poisonous. We're all fucking good as dead unless we can get this thing out of here. And I don't know if I mentioned this. He crawled out of my bathroom. They can walk. He walked from the opening under the door, and he's hopping around my goddamn bedroom. He's on my homework, he's on my desk, he's on my bed, he's on the wall, he's fucking sightseeing in unit B, okay?
Making himself at home.
Literally just robbed me in my own home. Just fucking intrusion. So Melissa is like, oh, her hurricane boy is sleeping in her room. And I'm like, okay, perfect. Fucking get him. He's a boy. He can handle this.
We have a man in the house.
This is not a girl's problem. He can handle this. Mm-hmm. He is so fucked up on whatever bender he was on. Whatever's coursing through his veins. Melissa's waking him up. And what did he say to you?
I don't remember what he said to me, but basically
he was like, oh, cool.
Yeah, he said something like that. Like he was, and I was like, you gonna get it? Silence.
It falls back asleep. No regard for our literal lives being in the hands of this frog.
Yeah. I was like, come on, be a hero.
So Melissa fucking pulls up her panties. The girl boss that she is, she fucking is ready. And she gets a fucking like noodle strainer, like a colander. And Melissa is fucking in my bedroom. And mind you, I'm not like the most organized, clean person. So I literally have like papers on the floor, fucking shit on the floor. I'm like unorganized. And she's trying to trap this frog with a colander. But there's like so much shit everywhere that the frog is. He can like creep out under. And Melissa finally gets him, kicks him in the living room, kicks him out the door, and throws the colander like fucking over the stairwell or something. But Melissa literally had to girl boss and get this poisonous frog out of the apartment because he was so fucked up. He was just like, okay, cool, go ahead and die. I don't care. Like, the fuck?
Yeah. And so, you know, I was young. I was a sophomore in college, and I didn't like know the signs of addiction. And when I first started dating him, he's like, oh, you know, I used to do all these drugs, this and that, but I'm clean now. And I had no reason to not believe him. And he was good. And then he kind of started smoking weed. And then he said, you know, I need to take Adderall to help me study. I'm like, that, whatever, I don't care.
This isn't to make excuses for it because people cope in different ways, especially in college. But I feel like it's not abnormal for students to like take Adderall and take Xanax and you know, everybody smokes weed. If you're in college and you're fucking trying to get your shit done, a lot of people take Adderall to get the work done.
It's literally no big deal.
A lot of people take Xanax to take the edge off. And as long, I mean, it's you know, maybe not necessarily right, but as long as you don't have a problem and you're not like addicted, it's not an uncommon thing for people to do recreationally or to like to make it through the semester.
Yeah.
So especially whenever like so many people around us do that and then he's doing it, you wouldn't think he had a problem until he was literally awake for 11 days straight.
Yeah.
Like that's what
like
was evident.
Hurricane Boy literally would take so much Adderall at a single time and like just keep taking like multiple pills at once, and he would be awake for days. And
He would literally be a walking ghost.
Yeah.
Like, it was concerning how he would be walking around the apartment.
Yeah, it was so bad. And like I would tell him, like, you need to sleep. Like, how are you going to study and remember your information if you don't fucking sleep? Are you stupid? And he was like, I need to study. I need more Adderall. And it was insane.
I'm not
like,
saying that he didn't study, but he wasn't studying. Like,
no. Definitely not retaining, that's for
he
sure.
was not. I don't even remember him actually like being in the library 24/7. I remember him spending just a lot of time fucked up at the apartment.
Yeah, it was bad. And of course, like me, I was like it wasn't right. And again, I didn't know how to set boundaries or put my foot down. And I didn't realize how bad it was at that time. Obviously now, I tell people he took so much, he was basically a meth head. Honestly, it actually probably would have been a better idea to do meth because that would be a lot cheaper for him. So not only...
Especially with the shortage, it's hard to get your hands on actual Adderall.
Right, exactly. So that just proves how dumb he is.
The Adderall was not making the neurons fire correctly.
He was just better off on meth financially.
In this economy?
So yeah, like he literally fried his brain because of the Adderall. And like he was completely different. Not that he was the best person to be dating in the first place.
But from the time you guys, when I met him, whenever you had just been dating for like maybe a month or so, to the person that he was whenever you guys officially ended things and he was gone, he was like overtaken by his lifestyle.
Yeah, it was so bad. Which actually brings me to my next story.
Melissa's just a hard girl to let go of. She's a fucking catch.
Apparently. So I break up with him, and
which is just so crazy because the story of like you, and we don't have to get into this, but just like the crazy thing that he did outside of our apartment.
What was it?
Whenever he killed the frog.
See, that's what I thought you were talking about.
Yeah.
So there was a time, so I broke up with him, and like a few months later I get a new boyfriend, and he comes over and he's like, I just want to talk to you. And he's like, just give me 5 minutes, this and that. And
Hurricane Boy. Melissa's in the apartment with her new boyfriend, and Hurricane Boy comes over expressing his desire to talk.
Yeah, after I told him, like, now's not the time.
You had moved on. Things were over.
Exactly. We had been moved on. And so he's like, just give me 5 minutes. And then I look to my right. There's a huge ass frog on the wall. And so I'm like, oh my God, Hurricane Boy, like, there's a frog.
Redeem yourself.
And boy, did he redeem himself in all the wrong ways. He literally grabs this frog off the wall, manhandles him, and freaking throws him as hard as he can at the wall.
Just murders the frog in front of Melissa.
I cried. And to make it worse, when that frog hit the wall, he squeaked. I cried.
He's a man now. I killed the frog for you.
And then...
But, like, also, what a psychopath.
Seriously, I'm like, okay,
arguing.
serial murderer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was that.
Psychologists warn people about things like this.
For real. Exactly. And so... a lot of time passes, probably like 2 years or more.
An unreasonable amount of time for this to take place.
Yeah, I had like tried getting a restraining order against him through this time and this and that.
Because there were other little things between the frog incident and this last incident that happened that very validly so you want him to stay away.
Yeah, exactly. And so one night I get a call from his sister, and she basically asked me, you know, is Hurricane Boy talking to your dad? And I was like, no, he's not talking to my dad. He's never even met my dad. He's never spoken a single word to my dad. And she's like, well, he's saying that he's talking to your dad. Again, we were broken up for at least 2 years at this point. He's saying that he's talking to your dad, and your dad is telling him to move to LA and join the Air Force. And I was like, okay, well, that's weird because he's not talking to my dad. And why would my dad tell him that?
It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, so that was like the first thing that kind of happened. But then it escalated. So far that he was being held by the CIA. A moment of silence.
People think like getting arrested is bad. Imagine the average person just getting held by the CIA because they're such a fucking idiot. Like.
So basically, the story goes, it's 11 o'clock at night. I happen to already be asleep. My dad texts me. He says, call me ASAP. I'm asleep, so I don't see it. So he ends up waking up at 4 a.m. and calling me. And he's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, what's going on? And I guess I should preface this. So my dad at this time had a, like, what do you say? Like a
high security, maybe?
High security job.
Yeah.
Whenever I would like tell my friends, you know, I don't know what my dad does, they would just assume that he works for the CIA.
I thought he worked for UPS.
Okay, yeah, there was that mix-up.
I was very confused. I was like, he delivers mail. What's going on?
Just like, he did think that.
I remember them talking about it one day, and they were like, oh my God, it's so secretive. And I was like, what, he can't disclose the addresses he drops the packages off at? Like,
what is our
course.
HIPAA?
Right? I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What is UPS code for?
Yeah, so everyone just assumes he works at the CIA, including Hurricane Boy. So again, we've been broken up for over 2 years at this point, have not spoken to each other, tried to get a restraining order against him, and since then he had not spoken to me. So instead, he takes a good old trip from South Florida to Virginia to the CIA headquarters to speak to my father.
And he drove, didn't he?
He drove there.
That takes some planning. That
He
takes
probably
some gas
took a lot of
money.
Adderall.
It took no time at all then.
How do you get that money too? Okay, so yeah, my dad calls me.
How he afforded the trip to there, we don't know.
That is still in question.
Will remain a mystery, but he gets there.
He somehow gets there. And so my dad gives me a call, and he's like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And he's like, okay, good. And I was like, what's happening? And he's like, you know, I was getting these phone calls last night, like one after another, and I just thought it was like a telemarketer, and so I almost blocked him. It's like, if someone's calling you like one after another repeatedly, you probably shouldn't block them. It's probably like something you need to know. Yeah, so he's like, finally I answered, and it was the CIA. And Hurricane Boy showed up at the CIA headquarters last night. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, he pulled up at 11:30 at night. I guess 11 at night.
But is that even public information, like where that's located?
I think it is.
Okay.
But you have to go through like security to get there. So he like pulled up at the gate, and they're like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, I'm here to see so-and-so. And they were like, who is that? And so they're like, okay, this guy, something's wrong with this guy. So they detain him and are questioning him. And basically, so he had my father's home address in his pocket. And he was going to go to my childhood home to talk to my dad, but he decided that maybe he would be at the CIA headquarters at 11 at night first.
Just in case he had a random night shift.
Right, he was passing through anyway. Eventually, I go back to bed, and I get woken up at 9 a.m. from a call, and it is some agent from the CIA. And I had to give him, like, all this background on him and this and that, and I've not heard anything since.
But let it be known, she tried and failed to get a restraining order many times. And if that does not prove the unjustness,
Injustice?
The failure
The failure.
of police protecting women, I'm like, this man was literally deranged enough to go to the CIA, and whenever you're telling them I feel unsafe, they were like, get over it. Like, that is crazy.
They're like, we can walk you to your car.
Right? He could
Out of the courthouse.
literally, and he's just gonna walk into the CIA. Like, that's just so fucking insane. And she was so valid in asking for that,
Yeah.
and no one gave a fuck.
So then I was like, he was verbally told by the judge to not contact me anymore. There was no restraining order in place, but he was told to not contact me, and if he does, then I can file again and I'll get the restraining order. So I was like, he's not contacting me.
He took it a step farther.
He went straight to the CIA. But that's really the end of the story, because I don't know, nothing else has happened after that.
That was more than enough.
That
That didn't need to happen, but he took it there.
He took it there.
I don't have any crazy boyfriend stories like that. Mostly because I've only ever been in one relationship in my life, and other than that, I would just do as I pleased with whomever I pleased, in a respectful manner. But I do have an unlawful story, I guess.
I love it.
So when I was 16, I worked in this little family-owned restaurant, and I mean, it's a small town in Pennsylvania. Major highway. There's definitely some like drug trafficking and, a little heroin epidemic going on at the time.
Nothing else to do.
I mean, it's a small town. Not saying it's right, but these things happen. You gotta keep it fresh somehow. So I'm like 16. It's the summer. I'm minding my fucking business, staying out of trouble. I'm at work. I'm like, it's so fucking slow. I'm like sweeping the floor, mopping the floor. And technically, you're not supposed to let non-patrons like use the restrooms or things like that. But again, I'm 16. I'm in my own world. I'm just worried about whoever the fuck's gonna Snapchat me next and mopping the floor. So this guy comes in, and I am so naive. I don't understand anything that's going on. I'm minding my business, sweeping and mopping the floor, and this man comes in dressed all in one color, and I'm unaware of what that means because I'm 16 and I'm a fucking idiot. So,
I mean, who would be thinking about that at 16?
I mean, I guess it depends on where you're raised, but there wasn't a lot of gang violence that I was aware of. It wasn't like a city. It was a very small town, so those things just didn't typically happen where I was raised. He's wearing all one color, don't know what that means, and he has a teardrop tattoo that is halfway shaded in. Again, I'm like, maybe a little sketchy, but like, he's nice to me. Who am I to judge? I don't want to be judged by all the shitty things I've done. I was only 16 at the time, but even now at 25, I wouldn't want to be judged by all the shitty things I've done. Let's give people some grace. This is really a problem I need to work on. I give way too much grace.
You give a lot of grace.
I'm way too kind. So anyways, this man comes in and he's like, oh, hi, sweetheart. How you doing? Whatever. He's so nice to me. And I'm like, oh my God, hi. He's like, do you mind if I use your bathroom? And I'm like, you're really nice. I don't give a fuck. Go ahead. So he goes and uses the bathroom. He leaves. He's like, thanks, hon. Like, have a great day. So nice to me. I'm like, wow, don't think anything of it. 20 minutes later, the police show up and they're like, have you seen this man of this description dressed in this, whatever? And I'm like, oh yeah, he was here like maybe 15, 20 minutes ago. Why? They were like, oh, well, he sold some drugs to this lady across the street and she overdosed in the parking lot. So we're looking for him. And I'm just like, oh, didn't see that coming. He was so nice to me. Why would I think he killed someone across the street?
Exactly.
So that really threw me for a loop. And I guess he went to the bathroom to flush the remaining evidence of whatever she didn't purchase because things had went south. So he went in there and didn't find anything. It was gone. And honestly, my perspective was just shook because I was like, God damn, Abby. Like, he was so nice to me. I would have never thought. But yeah, things had unfortunately unfolded across the street, and I'm just sweeping the floor, minding my fucking business. And I really need to be a better judge of character, is what that taught me.
I mean, you can't read a book by its cover.
I can know the signs now, but honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I haven't really learned, because not that I've had like a similar experience to that extent, but there were some people staying in the place in which I work, and everyone was a little sketched out by them. They have black teeth, no teeth, super skinny, skin and bones. They are very fucked up. They're slurring their words. They're whatever. So kind to me. I live off tips. I'm a bartender, guys. They're great tippers. They're not actively hurting me. So what? They have their vices. They're fucking, getting through the day however they can. Who the fuck am I to judge? Maybe not making the smartest choices, and I wish them the best. They're leaving me so much fucking money, and they're so kind to me. And I mean, everybody gets a little fucked up. You're on vacation. But so many people were like coming up to the bar and they're just like, who the fuck are these people? Why are these people here? Blah, blah, blah. They have fucking tattoos on their necks and whoa. And I'm just like, but they're also here. They're spending money. They're kind. How do you know that they just didn't come from like a fucked up past? They're a product of their environment.
How are they bothering you?
Exactly. Because of their appearance. I don't give a fuck. And that's what I told all of them. I was like, they're very nice. They've not done anything to anybody. Nobody's complaining. Would you want to be judged, Karen, by every fucking shitty thing you have done in your past? I know we've all made mistakes. You wouldn't. So what? Theirs are physically tattooed on their bodies. I don't give a fuck. I mean, I would like to keep that mindset, but maybe be a little more careful, because whenever these people had left, they were using like fake cards, so they weren't actually paying for anything, and that's why they were like tipping extremely well,
because it
was because they knew it wasn't going through anyways.
Wait, did you ever get the tips?
Oh yeah, the establishment that I worked at paid us out, because obviously it wasn't our fault and they didn't want.
God.
I know, God bless them. That was really a solid thing that they did for us.
For once.
But I mean, I felt bad that everybody was judging them because I didn't think it was right. But then I was like, kind of also got bamboozled at the same time. You live and you learn. Maybe next time I'll do better. And they'll get their karma for that. That aspect of it was not right. But they were not wrong for simply existing and visiting there. And that's what really fucking bothers me. Why are you so judgmental?
Yeah.
You literally all have the same lives. Like, fucking what? Your husband's went to work and fucking paid all the bills and you have 3 kids and a white picket fence and whatever. Like, who the fuck are you to judge for people doing things differently? It's just nobody's business.
Yeah. That reminds me actually of a story last year. So my boyfriend, he doesn't like gifts. So I was like, okay, for Christmas, I will get you an experience. So,
and an experience at what?
It was quite an experience. So I'm like, let's get a resort somewhere, like not too far away, within an hour, 2 hours, maybe 3. So I find this resort, and resorts are expensive.
Very expensive.
Oh my God. So I find this cheap one, right? And we show up, parking lot's like empty. And I'm like, well, it is a Tuesday.
What time of year was it?
It was January.
Okay, yeah. I guess that's fair.
Exactly. It was January, a Tuesday. Parking lot's empty. I'm like, okay,
Still a little chilly.
Yeah, it was chill. It was definitely too chilly to go to the pool. Get into the lobby. No one in the lobby but the receptionist. So, like, I'm feeling, like, kind of weird, but I'm also like, it's going to be great. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. I'm like lying to myself. Gaslighting myself into thinking that everything's fine. And
it's not even necessarily that, like, I think, that time of year, maybe things are a little empty. That's not a reason to be scared in the hotel business. But I want to say your intuition knew that the vibe was off.
Right. And I was just telling myself that my intuition was wrong.
Because the pictures were very nice. It didn't look like a scary place.
Right.
But I think your gut was probably just telling you there is something off about this and I should not be here.
Yeah. The more like we got into the hotel, so we were going towards the elevator, and I don't know, this hallway was just eerie. Like, it was scary. We get into the elevator, we go up to our room. Disgusting. There's freaking like water marks on the wall. The freaking bathroom was absolutely disgusting. You could tell like it was technically clean, but you could tell that it wasn't cleaned for a number amount of years. And then finally someone decided to clean it. Like absolutely disgusting. And I'm like, okay, you know what? It's fine. This is going to be fine. And
as long as there aren't roaches in the bed, we can make it through.
right. And my boyfriend's trying to be like super supportive, and he's like, no, this place is great. And I was like, I think I might look for another place. And he's like, no, it's fine, it's okay. And I was like, you're right, we just have to explore the hotel some more, and we'll feel a little bit better. So we go exploring in the hotel, and there are like some people there, but it's very eerie. We go out to the pool bar, and we're getting a drink, and there are these people kind of on like the other corner, and they look a little bit disheveled, but again, who am I to judge? So they offered us like their food. They were like, hey, like, do you want this? Like, it's so good, this and that. And my boyfriend and I were like, no, thanks though. And then one of the friends made a joke, and they're like, oh, good, because it's laced with fentanyl. It's like, if I wasn't feeling scared enough, like, that joke didn't help. And they're being like really weird, and I wish he was here to tell the tale, but like the pool empty, everything empty, just eerie. And I'm like, we have to get out of here. And I'm like, let's finish our drinks, and hopefully they're not drugged. Yeah. And if they are, it is what it is, I guess. So we finished our drinks. I FaceTime my mom, and I was like, look how bad this is. And my mom's like, Melissa, get out now. And so anyway, we finished our drinks. I go up to the front desk, and I was like,
listen to what she tells them. This is my favorite fucking part of the story.
I had rehearsed this with my boyfriend like multiple times before going up. And I go up to the front desk, and I was like, hey,
tell them what you were gonna say. Tell them the sophisticated speech you had prepared. It sounded smart. It was like, I just don't feel safe. I'm not paying for this. Like,
right,
this isn't what was advertised. Like, it was just like so many points she was making, and like her lack of safety. She wasn't paying for the first night. She wasn't getting a cancellation fee. She's getting a refund, and she's leaving because
I was
like
very adamant. I was like, I will be a Karen if I need to be.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to put up with this. And yeah, I was like, okay, here I go. I go up to the front desk, and I was like, hey, what kind of refund can I get if I check out now? This is an hour. It's probably been like 45 minutes since we checked in. And she was like, is there something wrong? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, what's wrong? And I was like, just, I don't know, the vibes are off. And then after I said that, I was like, okay, that didn't sound like the most professional. I was like, I don't feel safe here. And she was like, oh, okay. And she gave me a full refund.
I mean, honestly, I feel like the vibes are off. The people at the pool just told me they were lacing their food with fentanyl. Would have been enough for like immediately. That's on them.
Exactly. Like I was genuinely so scared. And so we immediately grabbed our suitcases, which thank God we didn't even unpack yet. And we went downtown to, I think it was the Marriott. So beautiful. We had a good time.
And that's the thing too, is like traveling is nice, but traveling is always risky. Mm-hmm. And like, that's not to say that you shouldn't travel. Like, things could literally happen to you anywhere, but just like, you have to trust your gut when you're out of town. Because like quite literally anything could happen. You don't know what area you're staying in. You don't know the people you're around. Like,
seriously. Yeah, it was really, really scary.
The vibes were not met.
My heart was like pounding the entire time we were in there. And then I remember going to bed that night, and I was thinking, I was like, oh my God, if I tried to stick it out and I were trying to go to bed like in that hotel now, I would seriously be having a panic attack, crying. Like, it wouldn't have been good. But now I'm here in vibes. Yeah, for real, seriously. But now I'm in the Marriott, and I'm just cozy and
In
I'm
luxury.
okay. Luxury.
Everything's fine.
I had a great night and I'm safe.
God bless.
Yeah, that was wild.
Wait, but didn't your boyfriend feel unwell after his drink at the pool too?
Oh my god, yeah. He like threw up afterwards or something.
And he was like, that was like his drink. Like what he got is what he always drinks.
Yeah, and it wasn't anything sophisticated.
Or like a copious amount.
Yeah,
One drink.
one
It
drink.
just knocked him out for some very suspicious reason.
Yeah. So be careful where you stay. You know, maybe the cheap resorts aren't the best, even if they look okay online.
Or just be aware of your surroundings. Have a boyfriend who
Yes.
can fight.
Right.
Stay
Exactly.
strapped. Whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
I love to travel. I've traveled all over the world, a lot by myself and with my friends. And then a lot, I don't know, you always have to be careful. And I'm a very trusting person, which literally bites me in the ass. I should not be. And nothing bad has ever happened, thank God. But like there are also times whenever like I was happy that like my previous boyfriend was with me, or like I'm like with
Yeah.
friends. Like I wouldn't always want to do it alone. So you just have to trust your gut. People are fucking weird.
And I'm a big fan of crime documentaries, and you would think that by now maybe I would have a little bit of intuition on things.
I think you do. You just need to listen to it.
Yeah, that is true. I have gained that intuition.
Mm-hmm.
I just have to listen to it now. But for the longest time, no intuition.
Whatever happens, happens.
0.
I'm here.
I remember when I bought this house, my first night staying in the house, I couldn't stop crying because I was so scared. My boyfriend, we work night shifts, so he was working that night, so it was just me alone in this house. And I have like an absurd amount of windows.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's beautiful. But I had no curtains, no blinds, nothing.
No fenced in yard.
No fenced in yard. This is a new place. And honestly, the area around it.
Is there crime in the immediate neighborhood on this street? No.
But
Potentially.
this side, yes. This side, a little bit. This side, uppity.
But say you go a block over to the red light. No
You don't wanna be there.
No one even wants to like go into like those shopping areas.
Yeah, seriously. It's so bad. So,
But also in this economy,
right. It's what I could
do
afford.
what you gotta do.
Honestly, I was about to get a place in a worse area. Not even that this is bad.
It's not bad, especially if you go, a couple blocks that way.
Uh-huh.
Multi-million-dollar homes.
Seriously.
You're just like on the edge of the bad and the good. If you go that way, it's so nice.
It's like night and day.
Literally. Because I am not really in the market, but like rent is very expensive in Florida, so I'm like kind of looking, and I'm like, Melissa, I could just buy a house like one street over. We could literally just walk to each other's houses.
When I was thinking about that, today, and because I saw a house like down my street that's for sale, and I was like, oh my god, Abby and I can walk to each other's houses. But then I was thinking, I was like, do I feel safe walking in this neighborhood alone at night? And I was like, I think so. Like, I don't think anything would happen, but would I be scared? Yes.
But I mean, if it's like an 8-minute walk, it's like a 2-minute bike ride, 30-second drive. You know,
But people go missing out of nowhere.
that's what I'm saying. It would only be like a 30-second drive.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
We don't have to walk.
Like, take your car.
Exactly. We could just like even quicker, just like drive over. That's fine.
Yeah.
Because during the day, sure.
Yeah, during the day it's
If I was violently fucked up, I would probably just sleep here and walk home in the morning.
right.
But like for night's sake, hanging out, 30-second drive, right down the street.
Right?
No big.
Not at all.
Yeah. So everyone, like this video, interact, comment, subscribe.
Please.
And me and Melissa will live one street apart.
That'd be great. Be living our dream.
Right?
We used to be roommates, and now
Oh
we're
my
neighbors.
God, me and Melissa have lived together for so long. Okay, wait, listen to how crazy this is. Me and Melissa met the week before college, which you know if you listen to the intro episode. So we lived together then. We went to college, and our first year, obviously we didn't know each other previously, so we didn't live together. But we would hang out. We would literally, the fucking shit we would do in college. I lived in this part of campus, and she lived in this part of campus. And I
Literally
remember
opposite corners.
some nights, and it's like a conservation kind of area. Like they had a
Uh-huh.
lot of like natural Florida wilderness.
Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not wilderness, but like wooded
Definitely
areas.
alligators.
Alligators, panthers, boars, deer, all of that shit just lurking around. And me and Melissa sometimes would be like, oh my God, it's like 4 a.m. We're coming home from the bar. I'm going to go home. I would walk like fucking 38 minutes home in the woods. And she would come with me halfway. She'd meet me on like the edge of campus. And then I would go home and then she would walk the whole way back to hers. And just like so fucking crazy. Or I remember one time we were hanging out at Melissa's. And I was like, you know, I just bought some guacamole. And they were like, oh, fuck, we could eat some guacamole. And me, you, and Megan walked the whole way back to my dorm to eat guacamole. And then you guys were like, oh, fuck, this is spicy. Let's go back. So we went the whole way back. So then our second year to whenever we graduated, we lived together in an apartment. And literally right down the hall, lived together all 3 years. And then we graduated. We're like going our separate ways. I moved in with my boyfriend at the time to a place maybe like 5 minutes away from where we previously lived. And Melissa moves in to an apartment literally down the street. I think it was like a 5-minute drive, not even.
If that.
If
yeah.
that. Probably like half a mile.
Yeah.
And then rent got really expensive. So me and my then boyfriend moved into another place like 30 minutes away. And me and Melissa lived a little bit farther. And then she just so happens to buy a home 8 minutes away from my apartment. So now she owns a home. I have an apartment, and we still only live 8 minutes away.
I feel like my Carvana story is way too long.
That's
Should I
fair.
do
It is
it?
a long, but it's so good. We'll save that one for another episode.
What time is it? Yeah, it's like 2 a.m.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I feel like this is really our thing. This is our first thought or last thought of the day, however you want to look at it.
And to be fair, it did get us it did take us 4 hours to get this all set up.
Oh,
so
yeah,
if
we
you
planned to do this
subtract
earlier.
4 hours from this,
It's 10 p.m. Maybe the next one. We'll let you know what time we end the next episode.
yeah, that will be how we measure our growth.
Exactly. How fast can we get this set up correctly? Thanks for tuning in to Two Neurons, One Mic, guys.
Yes, we appreciate all of our loyal listeners.
I know. Comment, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, tell your family.
Tell us your crazy stories.
Oh my God, yeah. Leave us a TikTok. Leave us a comment. We love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye. Mwah.